Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to carve a mushroom. There's a few things you'll need, and they are a little saw. These aren't really necessary, but I think you are best off using one. You can just use a knife, but it makes your life a little bit easier. Then you'll need some kind of knife. I've got my Moroniv companion here, and what I've also got is my Moroniv carving knife. And again, you don't need this, but it does make your life a lot easier because they are designed for carving. This is a nice one here. It has a nice birch handle. And the final thing you'll need is a piece of wood to carve. Here I've just got a piece of beech. I've got it two fingers width, and then I'm going to make mine 3 fingers width there, then another 3 fingers width there, so altogether 6 fingers. You'll understand what I mean in a minute once I start carving. So yeah, it's just a little mushroom that we're going to carve today. They're really fun little carving projects. They're good to leave around your little campsites, leave them on paths. I've seen in a video like people leave them for presents for people walking along the paths. That's a really nice thing to do. And another thing you'll need is the wood's best off being alive and green, because if you get dead wood, sometimes it's going to be a little harder to carve because there's not as much moisture content in, so it's going to be a lot more rigid, and also the bark peels off, and we need the bark for this project, so you are best off with some green wood. In fact, what I did also when I was talking about the saw is a moment. Yeah, I have this little tool here. It's a bit like a Swiss Army knife, but it has a hammer on it. My friend got me this from Malta. And this has a little saw on it somewhere. There, yeah. Yeah, so instead of using this big saw, you can just use a little saw from your Swiss Army knife kit. But you do need a bigger saw just to probably chop your branch down, unless you can just find one. So yeah, let's get into it. Oh, I like having a first aid kit with me just because I do end up cutting myself well, pretty much every time I carve I end up getting a few little nicks on my fingers, like I've got one on my thumb from when I was carving the other day. So yeah, it's just that best of having a first aid kit with a bit of antiseptic wipes in, a few plasters, all sorts like that, just in case. So yeah, I'll get into actually carving the knife now. So what you'll need to do is get your little saw out. And I said I'm doing mine 3 fingers width, so once you've gone 3 fingers down there, just make a little mark where you want it. So my mark's just there, and you just gonna want to go all the way round the wood, keeping that. I'm going to use my bigger saw. And you're going to want to go in, depending on how thick your wood is. I'm going in about half an inch here. I'm just sat on my hammock here that I use as a chair, so yeah, I'm just going to do that. So then guys, I've gone all the way around it with my saw. I've gone about, not half an inch thick like I first said, maybe about a centimetre or something, maybe not even that. So this top bit here is going to be the mushroom cap. So this is going to want to be a dome around. But the first thing is just a little bit above where you've just done that line, towards the top of the mushroom. I'd say about a few millimetres up, you're going to want to just score a line around, and that's going to be the line where the bark stays on. So I'll just do that now. So then I've just scored that line. You probably won't be able to see it, no, it's tiny, but from that line, you're going to want to take off all the bark above that line. You can see just like that there. My line starts there. So you just want to take off all the bark just so you can see what you're doing. Make sure when you go like this with your knife, if you slip, you're not going to hit anyone, anything. If you got your dog running around, if you got your children, or just anyone, you don't want to be hitting them with your knife. So yeah, I'll just go all the way around this. My line isn't very even, but it doesn't matter. They're not for selling, they're just something to do around the camp. So then guys, as you can see, that's where I did my sewing, that line there. Above that I've left some bark, and then above that I've taken off all the bark. So now what we're going to want to do is round this off. At the minute it's flat, and we're going to want to round that over. So all you do is, I'm going to use my carving knife for this. This is extremely sharp. So all you're going to do is start taking pieces off the top like this and just start to round it. I've actually moved locations now. I was just right there. I've just moved here next to the fire just because I think when I'm sat on the ground I get a bit more control and it's a bit safer rather than swinging in a hammock. Yeah, it was swinging, I just didn't feel too safe carving. I would have been fine, but you always got to be careful. So like I said, I'm just going to round this off now. I've finished the top of the mushroom now. You can see it's like a dome shape there. Also when I was doing it, I did a bit of a mistake and I took a bit of the bark off there, but that's how it's meant to look with the rim of bark there. So with the thing that I just sewed earlier, what you're going to want to do, I'm going to use my bigger knife for this. Why we dug down there is because you don't want to scrape any of this bark off, but you want to start making the stalk now. So just start going like this. If you can kind of see that, you start taking bits off, and instead of trying to keep it like that, you might scrape a bit of the bark off. But if you go at a more perpendicular angle to that rather than parallel, you shouldn't take any of the bark off. So yeah, all you're going to want to do is just go down and try and make this a bit more pronounced. This instead of it just being a saw line, you want to open it up a little bit. So I'll just do that, and then I'll show you what to do next. So then guys, I've just opened up that saw cut that I said I was going to do, and you can kind of see there maybe that it's quite deep now and quite opened. But like I did with this when I did it 3 fingers length, I'm going to do that again there. Oh, do it with these fingers because I'm left-handed, and you're just going to want to mark. I'm going to do it with my saw. You're just going to want to do a bit of a mark, just like that. Right, and then you're going to want to carry that all the way around like we did with this, and just like we did with this again, we're going to want to go a few millimeters up, and then mark out where your other line of bark's going to be. So it's just similar to what we did with this, but we're not obviously not rounding this side off. So I'll just go and sew around it. So then, I've just outlined where the end of my mushroom is going to be, and just like I said I was going to do, I'm just going to make another line a few millimeters up from there, and just score it all the way around. You're going to want it quite deep because you're going to want to be able to see this line. It's quite hard to see sometimes in the bark. So then I've just scored that line there, and I'm just going to, like I did there, just take all the bark off just so I know what I'm working with. Yeah, just like this here. Just take all the bark off. You don't actually need to score that line. You can just do it by taking the bark off where you think it looks right, but I like scoring the line just so it gives me a bit of a thing to go off. Yeah, I like going back and checking that all the bark's level, but on branches, they're obviously going to be a bit bumpy, so your line is going to be, you're not going to have the same line all around the same thickness, but you're in the woods, you're only carving with a knife, and it's got a bit of a rustic effect to it, because like this here, you can go and sand it around and then sand all this and make sure everything's perfect, but I think it looks a bit store-bought like that, like you bought it from a shop. And I like kind of the homemade effect that you get off it. Then people can tell you've actually put all the time and work into it. So yeah, I've just done that there, and I'm just got it all off. I'm just gonna obviously take the bark off. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shape the stem. I'll show you kind of how I'm gonna do that. So then, guys, I've took all the bark off now. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start fatter at the bottom, then it's going to come in kind of like a cone shape. But obviously, not all the way. I still want the thing attached to the top of the mushroom a good inch thick, because it's got to be strong. So all I'm going to do is just taper it into the top, and then just get fatter. We'll just go thinner towards the top though. So I'll get back to you once I've done that. So then, I've finished the shape of my mushroom now. I've got it how I want it. There it is, nice and rounded at the top. You could actually put this in the fire for a few seconds and make it all black and char it. That would look nice. You could sand it and paint it, but like I said before, I think it don't look as authentic. Or you can leave it like this, which is what I'm doing. It does look nice and rustic, nice and authentic. Yeah, and all I'm going to do now is you're going to need to separate it and cut it. I'll do that. So then, guys, I've just separated the mushroom from the stick. There it is. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do some of the final things. Well, it doesn't even need it really. I like it with like the lines and the rustic effect. And you're just going to, you can just stand it up somewhere like that. You can just leave it, there it is. You can just leave this around the trails, around where you want it. When you cut it, it's nice to just level it out at the bottom, just to make sure it's going to stand nice and level, just like that. Just because when you're sawing, you're not always 100% spot on. There it is, the little mushroom. These are one of my favourite things to carve, because I am not a really good carver. I'm quite new to carving, and I ain't got onto figure carving or anything. I've carved a few spoons and I've carved a few of these mushrooms, but that's about it. I would like to get into carving a bit more, because when I'm sat out here and I'm just got the fire on, I've been listening to a bit of music. I can hear the birds when I turn the music off, and I just think it's so nice. It's so peaceful, and you get a really nice end product. These also make nice gifts for people, and it gets all the muscles in your hands working. Like, you come out and your hands are aching, all different joints that you don't normally use. And like I said, it's just really nice and relaxing just to do this in the woods. It's in your back garden. It does make a bit of mess. You get all the wood chips everywhere, but you can always sweep that up if you're in your garden. And yeah, thank you for watching. Also, if your knives do get quite blunt if you carry on doing this, I do have a Japanese whetstone, and I can sharpen knives, but I'm not the best at it. So if any other bushcrafter channel would like to make a video, I think it'd be really good for some bushcraft channels to make some videos on how to sharpen the knives, because it'd be all people like us, well, like me, who aren't the best knife sharpeners. It'd be real good to get some tips and some help of some experienced people. So yeah, that's an idea for if anyone would like to do that. I'd be really grateful. So yeah, I hope you like this video on how to make this mushroom. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I read all the comments and I respond. And don't forget to turn the notification bell on. Thank you for watching. It's been Lewis Outdoors. Goodbye.